Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rec BRZ and Rec Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the new thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And good morning, dear ones. Rec BRZ with you here.
Rec Z right here.
And we're a couple of ministers talking shit. And today, hey, it's New Year's Day. Happy New Year, Z.
Happy New Year, my brother. What's going on?
Oh, my gosh. It seems like everybody's expecting the world to change this morning.
Yes, I think they are. I agree with him, and I hope it's true.
Yeah, it felt kind of the same when I woke up. So I haven't looked outside yet, though, either. So
there's still hope. We only one day in this thing.
We're only one day in, exactly. Not even that, just barely 7 hours. 7 hours in here on the Mountain Time Zone. So thank you for being with us, folks. This is the weekly show where Rec Z and I get together on Friday mornings and really discuss whatever it is that's up and look for a spiritual perspective on what's going on in the world, whether it's the news, current events, holidays. I got last week's banner up there. Let's get rid of that. Whatever it might be, we just go with it. So if there's something you'd like us to chat about or something you'd like us to know about, please drop a comment in the comment box and let us know. And if it's appropriate, well, hey, maybe we'll talk about it this morning. So Z, before the show, we were chatting and talking about some of the absurdities of commercial television last night on New Year's Eve. And I know you watched a little of that. I don't really watch much of it, but we kind of came to the point that now is the time more than ever to be curious. And in that curiosity, be ready to move forward into something new this year.
Yes.
Tell us a little more. Where'd that come from for you?
Well, I think, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. Trust that you've got your intention set for the year, and we may get into that a little later. But I think one of the key things for me that kind of sets the tone for this 2021 is the fact that when we take a retrospect and look at what we've gone through in terms of economics, healthcare, education, politics, everything has now been shifted or loose, and it gives us an opportunity to, as you said there earlier, to really be curious about what it means to be alive on this planet and what does it take to make it go. And so we have to begin to be curious about that and begin to get involved in the making of that to make this 2021 a grand vision of what we hope the world to be. And I guess one other thing, there's been all this talk about since we had the grand conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn and taking place at pretty much 0 degrees Aquarius. And with Aquarius being the symbol, if you will, that represents humanity, intelligence, and communication, those are three things that we will need to really accentuate to get beyond this current pandemic and everything and make a grand and glorious place to live.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's if there's anything that 2020 points us to, I believe it's part of a huge part of that is it has pointed us towards working together. Yeah. To really embracing. No, it's not just, oh, that's my neighborhood and I live in it and I don't know who the hell my neighbors are. I got no idea the guy on the left or the guy on the right, what their names are, what they like, what they do, where their fears are, what they're concerned about. And more than ever, I think it's time we're being called to say, I got to stand up and say, I'm here to not only serve my own experience, but to serve your experience as well,
Right.
to support you in creating your dreams and support you in staying safe and healthy and secure and all the aspects of what it means to, well, really be in community.
Yeah.
I think
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think we've lost touch in what the true meaning of community is over years.
Right. And I was just going to add to that. You got me excited there because you hit on a subject that always excites me, is the understanding of this symbiotic relationship that everything on this planet has. And so we look at it when we talk about symbiosis and symbiotic relationships, we normally look to the planet itself, of how there's a symbiotic relationship between the soil and the plants and the plants and the bugs and the bugs and the birds, and we go forth, right?
Yep.
But there's also a symbiotic relationship between families, between communities, between neighborhoods. And so when we are able to really understand that and tap into that concept that you just made so clear, without you, there is no me.
Right.
And so your rise is my rise. Your sink is my sink. So if I'm doing anything to create your downfall, or to set you up for a downfall, inevitably it's going to affect me in a negative way as well. And so one of the things that we need to be real clear about, I think, in this 2021 is that, as there's an old African-American saying that says, we may have come over in different ships, but we all in the same boat right now. And
right.
So we need to make sure that this boat is seaworthy, and that we can withstand the winds and changing of time and everything, so that we can get to the destination.
Yes. Okay. So you said it. What's the destination then? Where are we going?
Well, I think in my humble opinion, I think the stage is set. We've got the compass out, and we've navigated the terrain and the depths of the water, if you will, so we know where the reefs and everything are. The destination is a place where we can be more self-reliant. We can be more reliant on each other, that we become more accountable, we become more committed, and last but not least, we become more, how do I say? I want to say adventurous, but it's a little more than it being adventurous. Curious would be another word. The sense of discovery would be another word, so that we begin to really become aware and awaken to this thing that we call life and how we proceed in it.
Okay. Yes. Sounds a lot like the global vision.
Yes, it does. I wonder how that happened.
We come back to that a lot, folks, right? A world that works for everyone. Because in a lot of ways, that's what we're doing. We're moving into, and I know for me, at least, I've been setting lots and lots of intentions on how I can be a beneficial presence on the planet, on how I can serve this evolution in human consciousness, how I can be a part of the shift and the change that's upon us. Because the truth is, we're not changing any. It's not going back. The change is here. The shift is here. We're in the midst of the transformation. We are in the midst of all of it. And we're not going back to where we were at this time last year. Right. And, that's a big thing this time. We often reflect back on what has changed since last year. And shit, this year, I can barely remember what changed since Christmas. The change happened so quick. And so it's been rolling upon us because we are, we're in the heart of it. We're in the thick of it. Creating this world. We've been saying it for so long, talking about it for so long. Here it is. Now, what are we going to do with it? Right? What are the intentions that you have for being a part of what's happening as we move into 2021? See, I
Yeah, and
just realized the banner is still wrong.
that's all right. It's coming. It's all right. Because that's how this new year is gonna what it's gonna call us to do. Be aware. I mean, because think about it. Now, Brother Robert and I was having a conversation before we jumped on, and we were talking about the whole idea of New Year's resolution. So we're going to see a lot of news things and a lot of print and everything that's talking about setting New Year's resolutions. And one thing that Reverend Robert and I were talking about was that I think, and this was my opinion on it. I said, I think that the idea of making goals and making plans is going to become a thing that's passé. Now, that does not mean that you live life vicariously and just get caught in the winds, but it does mean that we begin to do more intention setting that allows us to focus in on a specific thing, but it gives us a breath so that we can look at the many options to get to that thing, because we know the world is changing. Last March, no one expected, even after we heard about the pandemic, no one expected that we would still be shut down globally right now. Right. And so if you had your plan or goal set on something as opposed to an intention, I would submit, you all messed up right now.
Yep. You said it in our earlier conversation, right? Goals are they have to have a desired destination, but the destination is known. If your goal is to run a 4-minute mile, you know the destination. If your goal is to get to St. Louis for New Year's Day, well, you might be a little late, might already be there, but right, you know the destination of where you're trying to get to. In today's world, it's real tough to know if the destination is going to be there in a month or 6 months or a year. And the destinations, I've long said this one, that some of the greatest wisdoms of the 21st century are written on the backs of t-shirts. Mm-hmm. And one of the ones I always loved the most was the journey is the destination. The journey is the destination. So what we're talking about is, I'm not saying, hey, I'm going over there, but hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give this. I'm going to serve in this way. I have an intention. And I want to give you an example. Now I'm a minister, so this is going to seem like, what? Really? Duh. But one of my intentions for this year is to expand my daily spiritual practice beyond what I already do. I've got some new journals in the shelf and some new ideas. A goal would be, I'm going to meditate 3 hours a day. Well, that may not be realistic. And there are going to be days where I may not have 3 full hours to give to my practice. But if my intention is to set to expand my practice, then I have the whole year. And it doesn't mean I have to wait till December either, right? I get started right away, but I have all the time I need to see how that fleshes out, to see what shows up, to see exactly where the destination is. So the journey is the destination, not just the goal setting. I agree with you. I hadn't thought of it this way, but let's get rid of goal setting, right?
Because I love Alan Watts, and if anyone in the audience or who listened to this later has not tapped into the wisdom of Alan Watts, I advise you to look him up on the internet or whatever and find out some of his philosophy. But one thing he always that he said that always gets me, I think, and puts me in alignment is, he said, we have to live life in oscillation. We have to go between the micro and the macro so that we don't lose shape. If we get caught too much, as we say, in the weeds, we lose sight of what the destination is. But we think we're doing something good because we're making progress. We're doing this thing and we can see some results, but it may be going in the opposite direction that we want to go. And if we get too far up in the macro and start looking down, then we begin to lose sight of the details that it takes to get to the destination. And so, and if we're not at some point centered right in the middle of those things to keep in balance the overall destination and the details that it takes to get there, we just get discombobulated. So it's that oscillation, it's that polarity swing, it's the finding the rhythm within life so that I go do some work, I back up and say, okay, where am I in relationship to my destination? Okay, I'm a little off course. Let me adjust. Oh, I'm right on course. Let me keep doing. And you begin to get a feel for that. Right. And as Reverend BRZ and I was saying earlier, then one of the things that we were talking about that will be needed in this new year is the ability to tap into your intuition and follow the synchronicities. Yeah. Because then you can, it's like you take a sailor, if he's on the ocean, he see clouds in the sky. There's an intuition that say there might be a storm on the horizon. Right now, I don't know for sure because sometimes the clouds come and just go. But so I'm gonna start putting things in order just in case. I might not go all the way because then as the intuition gets closer, you'll say, "Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a storm." Boom. But if you don't pay any attention, you'll be out of sync with your environment, and the storm will take you definitely off course.
Yep. That reminds me, right? The sailor's term, red sky at night, sailor's delight, red sky at dawn, sailors be warned. Because now, that's based on experience. That's truly science. That's based on personal experience over years. And there's an intuitive nature to that. Yes. And sailors learn to listen to that. I have found the closer people are to nature, the more intuitive they generally are. Now, I taught skiing for a lot of years, so I was always outside. I was always in nature, and we learned much the same, how to read a mountain, how to read the weather, how to get that sense that now, man, I ain't dropping that today. I'm not going down that chute today. I'm not skiing that line today, because there's just something that says no. But then there's also that says yes, right? So in this, we're moving from curiosity to experience. Yes. And the experience has to, in my opinion, has to be one where we're serving. Yes. Where it's not just about me getting mine and me making sure that my family's prosperous and protected and safe, but it's about being a benefit. Well, I say it again and again, right? Being a beneficial presence on the planet. Supporting.
But, you said something there that I have this ambivalent relationship with this whole thing of competition, right? Because competition often leads to an idea of superiority and supremacy. Now, it can also lead to an idea of improvement and self confidence and self-determination, but it's a thin line. And the way it's now situated in our culture, it has been geared toward dominance over someone else, even no matter how gentle you kind of put it. And I don't know what the replacement of that term is, but I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna let you know when I find it, because the idea of competition is great. That idea of spurring each other, each team, each whatever to a higher level of excellence and execution and forth, but often it comes at the price of putting somebody down.
Yes.
And we no longer need that. So we either have to reframe that whole idea or come up with a new word or a new term to make it as engaging and as fun as it is now, but to make it more uplifting and collegial, if you will, about whatever it is that we're competing at.
Yeah. I've also long been a proponent that how do we get rid of competition right now? And we can easily go to sports, and we see it in sports, right? We see that sense of healthy competition often turned to the negative, often turned to the, fans sitting in the stands, and all they're doing is yelling, hit him, hit him, hit him, hit him, and, knock that son of a bitch, knock his whatever into the dirt, and this and that and the other thing. I've often thought, we have those in our lives that are, we have those that are our competitors. Then we have those that are our cooperators. Those that, yeah, okay, I'll go along with you. And then we have our collaborators. Those people that say, not only will I go along with you, I'm going to get in the hole and I'm going to get dirty and I'm going to grab a shovel. I'm going to help you dig. And then we have our co-creators. The people that are saying, hey, I can catch this vision that you're about. I can see what you're doing, and I'm here to help you create this, to co-create with you. And so, you ask, can we replace competition? That's a trickier question. Can we start to shift more of our competitive energy into either cooperative, collaborative, or co-creative energy? That's a much stronger intention. So here we are again, right? The goal, if the goal was to get rid of competition in our lives, that's never going to work. That's not going to happen anymore. But if my intention is to be more cooperative, more collaborative, more co-creative, I got a good shot at making that happen in the coming year.
Yeah, and two things you just made me. One, while you were talking, I flashed back to that whole thing you was talking about earlier with curiosity, and I wanted to say something on that. In that, when we look at a lot of the advancements, especially during the Renaissance times, no matter what culture it is, whether it was ancient culture when they had their Renaissance or golden ages, or more modern, it was that curiosity that allowed us to come up with many of the discoveries, whether mathematical or scientifically or sociologically, whatever frame of reference, that those were made because they were curious about something that they saw. And then so if I roll that forward, there was a lot of competition between, Copernicus and his cohorts and Da Vinci and all the people around him, and Newton. All these guys were working and curious about, why things happen. Well, if we roll forward now and kind of merge that with competition, they have this new program on, I think it's Netflix, called Queen's Gambit, I think it's called, where they're playing chess. Now, chess is a competition, but it's more a competition of strategy and vision and intellectual prowess, right? Which fits directly into curiosity and discovery.
Right.
When you look at the way the game is played. And I think we should embrace that kind of competition. Well, no, I don't think I've ever seen or heard of somebody losing a chess match and then wanting to fight, or lose a chess match and want to cuss you out. They might just reach across the table and say, hey, good match. Let's do it again soon, right?
Right.
Because I'm going to go put my curiosity hat on, and I'm going to say, I got to watch these moves. I got to look at better ways of strategy, better ways of approach, right? And that's what we have to do, I think, in 2021. We need better strategies. We need better approaches. We need clearer intentions. We need more, as you said, collaboration, because that's what's going to make this thing happen on a grand scale, so that, back to the word, we can create a world that works for everyone.
Right. And that spurs me to say, right, I need to find somebody who's going to kick my ass. Gently, right? But that somebody that's going to move me from the competition, but might use competition as a means to spur me to a greater sense of collaboration or co-creation, right, to move into, because you get your butt kicked at chess often enough and quick enough, yeah, you're going to dig into the book and you're going to say, what's he doing? How's he doing that? And how do I make myself a bit better so I can be a part of the game? This is something else we said earlier, right? Nobody gets to sit it out anymore, folks.
No.
You are either in the game or you're going to get COVID and check out. That's pretty much the options anymore. You get in the game and you start being a part of this thing and helping and supporting and setting and moving humanity forward, or you're getting your ass kicked out.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no longer the opportunity or the time for you to be a spectator or a commentator.
Right.
You know, we don't need that anymore. Not, at least definitely not right now. We need all hands on deck. We need everybody out here, not trying to poke fun at somebody or poke holes in somebody's whatever. Now, if they're off base, we need to make note of that, but we don't need to pull them down. If people are doing their homework and people are intellectually and otherwise curious, they'll begin to know that ain't matching up to the results or whatever. And like you said, you know, it's like if you're playing tennis, right, or golf, or, you know, you want to play somebody that's a little bit better than you, that's going to challenge you, that's going to inspire you or spawn you on to get better. If you play someone at your level or less, you're not going to get any better.
Right. Yep. Exactly. I never like being the best guy on. I play a lot of disc golf. I never like being the guy that everyone wants to beat on the card. I always like somebody that's, yeah, you're the guy I'm chasing today. You're the guy. I'm watching what you're doing because you shoot better than I do. And there is that healthy competition again, right? It spurs us to our greatness. And right now, what we're saying, 2021, well, 2020, it kicked us in the butt and said, you smacked us in the head and said, hey, W, it's time to wake up and get to work, get in shape, because the real game is coming. And I think 2021 is that opportunity for us to say, hey, I'm in the arena. I'm going to borrow some words from Brene Brown here, right? I'm in the arena. And that means that I'm going to be here by your side. I'm going to be here getting dirty and bloody and messy and whatever it might be to fulfill this mighty intention that we're setting. Yeah. And around here, the intention is to create a world that works for everyone, to support humanity in awakening to our spiritual magnificence.
And you know, you made me go way back into the stats when you made that statement by Brene Brown that I always loved. That's such a great metaphor. For those of you who've watched this movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? Old movie, 2006, something like that. There's a scene in the movie where Marley Madison, I forget the character name she plays in the movie. She's walking by a basketball court, and the kid is shooting the ball and so forth, and the ball goes out. She tries to shoot it, and the guy says, "How long been it since you played this game?" And you know, he's kind of edging her, and then she tries to take a shot on the sidewalk, and he said, "Oh, no. If you go, you have to be on the court to play. You can't play out there."
Right.
But when you step on the court, the whole thing gets transformed, and you begin to see, hey, a whole different energy, a whole different perspective, a whole different vision comes into play that allow you to tap back into some things you thought you may have lost.
Yeah. And
that's what we've all come here equipped with what we need. And I always like to say, you know, there's the concept, but we come here to learn and so forth. And that's one perspective. But my personal perspective is we come from the Almighty, the all-knowing, the omnipresent, the omniscience. We already know everything. What we need to do is remember. And the way we remember is by being in the game, experiencing it, being curious, and say, oh, I remember that. Boom, it happens. And that's what I think is being called for in 2021.
Yes. Yes, you set me on a whole new trail, and I'm looking at the clock, realizing we ain't got time to talk about that today.
We have to make a note of that when we come back.
Because, in sports, we talk a lot about muscle memory. Right? That in ski teaching, it was always about if you can do the same movement often enough, snap your fingers. When you first learn to snap your fingers, you don't know what you're doing. It's a mess. Now you can snap in time. Once you learn and do it enough, the muscles remember and your mind doesn't have to. And that's the call for 2021 that I'm hearing, is that we have to strengthen our spiritual muscles. We have to strengthen our muscles of service and of recognizing the oneness and being on the field and being on the court. And we're developing the muscle memory so that as we continue down this journey of life, we don't have to think about how all this stuff happens. It just happens for us.
Yeah.
So, well, folks, we have about run out of time here. We want to say thank you for being with us over the past year, over 2020, for what we've been doing here. This is episode 37, I think, Z, or something like that. Wow. So we're getting our sea legs underneath us a bit here on this program, and we invite you to be with us throughout 2021. We're going to be here every Friday morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time. We have an email dedicated to this program, ministertalk@ntmedia.org. If there's something you'd like to hear us talking about, or a comment you'd like to make, or something you'd like to share with us, please, by all means, do send us an email, ministertalk@ntmedia.org. We may just bring up what you share on the program here live. And please do share this with your friends. Let them know what we're doing. This program is here every Friday. It lives in our archives. Past episodes live in our archives. There's a YouTube playlist specifically for this program, so you can go back and check out old episodes over on YouTube. But let a friend know what we're doing, and check us out throughout the week. We don't really anticipate everybody to be up at 7 o'clock on a Friday morning every week. So we'd love for you to share this with your friends and let them watch throughout the week. So. Z, before we go, final words of wisdom today?
As always, educate, conversate, and activate. Need it more now than ever.
Yeah. Amen. Nothing more I need to add to that. So we're out of here, folks. New Thought Media Network, thank you for putting this forward. We'll be back on the New Thought Media Network at 8:15 a.m., about 45 minutes from now, with morning prayers. Until then, join us again and again and again. Thanks for being with us. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.